Falguna Purnimasyam Ratro Holaka Falguna Purnimasyam Ratro Holaka Falguna Purnimasyam Ratro Holaka. Namaskaram. Namaskaram, everybody. We're starting a new series on Katham, thanks to the request of quite a few viewers from the past that they would like short capsules of spiritual dosages on Katham over and above the indirect messages that I've been sending through my mother, Srimati Vasanta Kumari Sampath's channel, which is a written message. People want to connect more directly through this eye-to-eye contact. Maybe it's even better in these times of the pandemic, because when we meet face to face, we have probably half the face is covered. But through this, you can see the full face. And the idea of this series, new series that we are starting, is that we would like to have FAQs, spiritual FAQs, if you will, where you could ask me any questions and I'll put them together and choose amongst the more popular questions, and also probably connect it to the events or festivals or celebrations that are occurring every Thursday of every week, so that we can kind of relate to and also receive the spiritual energies that are abundantly available if only we are open to it. It's like rain, and if you have a vessel which is in any case there with you, your body, mind and intellect, but if you are keeping it turned upside down, then no amount of rain is going to fill it up. Just that you have to orient it in the proper direction. So navigation is what is the key over here. So if you keep your vessel in a receptive mode, then the grace is always there, as abundant as the rains in the monsoon seasons. Talking of seasons, we are into spring, and that's what hōli is all about. And the first reference that at least I know of to the festival of Holi as a festival of colors as well as fire, because you remember there is a Holika Dahan, is in the Atharvana Veda, one of the four Vedas as you all are aware of, in the Parishishta, that is typically like an appendix, you could say, for want of a better word. But essentially it's in, I think, 1812, that is the shloka, in which I just recited for you, where it very clearly says that in the month of Falguna, on the Paurnami, is the festival of Holaka in the night, Ratrau. So this is essentially a night festival. And night is when you can really see the phases of the moon much more clearly, away from the blinding light of the sun. And especially a full moon is best enjoyed, of course, in the night, because the period of its visibility is typically from sunset to sunrise, if the Paurnami lasts that long. And this particular year, 2022, we are having the Falgun Mas Paurnami. Falgun Mas means essentially the period in which or the month in which the full moon occurs in the Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, and therefore it's named after that nakshatra as the Falgun Mas, and typically occurs in the mid-March to mid-April time period. There could be a slight variation because we're talking of a lunar calendar and trying to juxtapose it with the Gregorian calendar, which has a little better correlation with the solar calendar, not with the lunar calendar. But all festivals, remember, are typically oriented with respect to the lunar calendar. Why? Because the lunar calendar is associated with the moon and the left eye, and which essentially means the mind, and therefore celebrations and festivities, emotions that are connected with any festival ought to be in the let me just see if the recording is still going on. Otherwise, yes, thankfully it is going on. So the lunar calendar is important to get to the dates of festivals. I know some of the Tamilians and Malayalis might disagree with me on this, because they and some of the eastern, northeastern states, they do follow the solar calendar much more rigorously. I'm not saying this is better than that or something like that. I'm saying that there's certain things for which you need the solar calendar, which are soulfully connected, because the sun is what is the primary thing in the solar calendar, and the sun is associated with the right eye or the soul, our self. I don't say myself or ourselves, I say ourself. I knowing fully well that it's not a correct English word, it's not in the dictionary. You will find myself, you will find ourselves, but it misses the point that we are all one self, and that is ourself. And there's no such thing as a distinction between myself and yourself, or himself and herself, or themselves, and so on. So I prefer to coin this word and use it, and you would have seen me use it profusely, quite extensively, in the even in the written script that I offer on the Vasandima channel. So this solar calendars associated with the spiritual activities and festivities and celebrations are one step below that, associated with the moon, and therefore they need to take you up to that level and bring the mind and get it dissolved into the soul. So that process is through these festivals, which are aligned with the various astronomical configurations as seen from the earth fixed reference frame, because we are grounded, we are on the earth, and therefore all the associations have to be with respect to the earth as well. And in particular, we're coming to Holaka, which is the original name of hōli. Hōli is a simplified name, colloquially we have gotten into over a period of time. The original name is Holaka, and that is associated with this lunar month of Falguni, in which the full moon occurs in Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. And therefore, that particular full moon is what is celebrated as Holaka, and in the night, during the full moon. Now, coming to the importance of the full moon, we have discussed this before, that essentially the sun and the moon are directly opposite to each other as seen from the earth, and therefore the moon is able to reflect the entire light of the sun over to the earth, and therefore the sun representing the soul, the moon representing the mind, means that the mind is able to fully reflect the soul, which is essentially what bhakti is all about. And you would see that the Holi festival has been very deeply connected with the bhakti movement, whether it is Krishna and the Gopikas, especially Radhika, playing with Holi, and it gets to the peak in the Gita Govinda of Jayadeva, or the equivalent of that, the Nachiyar Tirumuri, 140 plus stanzas of Godadevi, Andalvar, Ranganayaki as we call her in Karnataka. This great poetess, devotee and saint, and also recognized as the avatar of Bhudevi, the Mother Earth, on which all of us sit and stand and sleep. Even when we are flying out of the earth onto either a aircraft or a rocket in space travel, essentially we are made out of the earth. The entire body that we have received from our parents and grown it to a much larger size has essentially grown out of the ingredients that Mother Earth offers. And it is that Mother Earth who appears as Andal almost 1400 years ago. There's a little bit of discrepancy in terms of how people look at it. Historians have a little bit of controversy. It could be between 1400 to 1200 years back, when her avatar or descension took place. And it is her wedding anniversary today. That's why we call it Sri Villiputtur, where she was born. At the temple there, we celebrate what is known as the Andal Tirukalyanam. Tiru means sacred, and Kalyanam means welfare, which has come to be associated with wedding over a period of time. That wedding is what creates welfare, welfare what creates wedding. So they become synonymous with each other, but essentially it's a sacred welfare of Andal, the ability to rule over, and that is the nature of Mother Earth. And the festival itself is connected with colors and with fire throughout the nation. The exact rituals might be slightly different from each other, but the whole idea is the same. Because if you look at both colors as well as fire, they are associated with sight. And sight is what you recognize colors with, the differentiation of colors. So the photochromatic nature of light, the ability to break up the white light into multiple colors, is present in the optical apparatus that we have been gifted with, the entire ophthalmological circuit that we have, all the way from the eyes all the way to the brain, through the retina and the optic nerves. All of this is essentially a huge network which helps us recognize fire as well as the colors of the fire. And that's essentially what we are talking about over here, which means that as yogis, we always associate this with one or more of the chakras in the Kundalini system that we have. And as we have discussed in previous editions, in entirely different contexts, the fire element out of the five elements of Bhu, Nila, what you call as the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the space-time. Out of these, the fire element is in the Manipuraka chakra. Tvam bhumi rapo nalo nila nabha, which says the Ganapati Atharvashirsha Upanishad, where all these five elements are Ganapati himself. But for the actual practical living, we have to distinguish between these, and it is that fire, or what is more generically energy, that energy is what is associated with the Manipura chakra, and it is that energy which is associated with the Holika burning, Holika Dahana as we call it, as well as the colors that we use to spray on each other, which started off with natural colors like extracted out of beetroot, turmeric, etc., the greens, leafy vegetables that you have, which are green in color. So you see that many of these are all berries, which have the bluish and purple tinge as well, and the entire spectrum of Vibgyor can be extracted from nature. But over time, commercialization has set in, and chemical colors are being utilized, which are really horrible for the skin as well as for the environment as well. We are part of that environment. So starting right from the boundary all the way to outside it, we are spoiling it. And again, the fires that used to be lit were of herbal fires, which when inhaled were quite medicinal in value, and not only got rid of many diseases but even prevented many diseases. So if people continue to use those, then obviously I keep checking to see if the recording is going on. Oh, it's already close to 15 minutes, so maybe I have to close because I've committed this to be a 10-minute show. So let me conclude with this here. And yes, as I was mentioning, as long as you use especially cow dung to burn, the kind of vapors and the fumes that get out of it, as is known very well in the Agnihotra system, as well as the Sandhya Vandana Homa Yajna that we do, is very beneficial. Same with the homas that are conducted as part of various other rituals as well. So let's celebrate it in that true spirit with natural colors out of beetroot, turmeric, etc., leafy green, leafy vegetables, and then also the berries, etc. And similarly, the fire out of cow dung and other natural herbs, so that we can have the true benefit of it. But the essential thing is that the moon is in the what you call as the Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, which belongs to the sun and therefore to the soul. And that spreads across the Simha Rashi and the Kanya Rashi, but it's mainly in the Kanya Rashi now. And it is that Kanya Rashi which is owned by Mercury, which means our mercurial intellectual abilities. So our soulful nature, our intellectual nature, both of these are connected with this particular location of the mind or the moon. So the mind is in the quarters of the sun, in the intellectual home. So what better? And at the same time, the sun itself is in Meena Rashi, or what we call as the Pisces, and is therefore directly looking at the mind and therefore showering all of its light. So in other words, the soul in the house of wisdom, because Pisces belongs to Jupiter. So that wisdom is entirely being shared with our mind. So tonight, this evening is very, very significant for that. And I'm really happy this particular year, 2022, it is the Paurnami is from around 1 o'clock this afternoon, Friday afternoon, sorry, Thursday afternoon to 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon, which means that both the gurus in terms of the Vara are associated with it. One is the Brihaspati, the Deva Guru, and the other is the Shukracharya, which is the Daitya Guru, which essentially means the Guru of our Rajasic nature and the Guru of our Tamasic nature. So Daityas or Asuras are our Tamasic nature, lethargy, laziness, procrastination, inertia. The guru of that is Shukracharya, and the guru of the Rajas, the passion, the aggression that we have, the ambitions, the go-getting attitude, all of that is encapsulated in Brihaspati, and the Vara is also very conducive. It may not always occur like this. Holi doesn't always, the night of Holi doesn't always occur between a Thursday and a Friday. So this year it is even more special from that point of view. So let's explore how, the same way that we have overcome all our inertia, tamasic gunas, and gotten into passion and aggression, the idea of the Manipura chakra, where the fire of colors and the sight is essentially there. That's the borderline of the Rajasic gunas, and the next one, Anahata, at the heart, is essentially our Sattvic gunas. So, how to transform the Rajasic gunas into the Sattvic gunas is what is most critical here. I'm sorry I extended the time, but in fact, there's far, far more that I need to say about these things. But just in the interest of time, I know many people are constrained about time, and therefore I'm trying to keep it short. But we will meet every week hereafter, every Thursday. Do pour in your questions, and I'll try to address them along with the festivals of that particular day, because Holi is a very, very special festival in the entire calendar, a spring festival. I needed to tell a little more because the way it has degraded, degenerated, faded, especially thanks to Bollywood, etc. Uh, People have lost the true significance. As I said, it comes all the way from the Atharvavana Veda, which pinpoints that the Falgun month of March, April, and in particular on the Paurnami of that month, is when during the night, Ratrau, that Holaka is celebrated. And Holaka is associated with Ahuti. The Hu sound is very important there, the Ho, as it becomes over time. And that is essentially about the offering that we can make, the joy that is generated within each of us. That's the only source of joy, pleasure, and all the joys that are there that you can think of are internally generated, and we are able to give and share that joy with the others. And that offering, that oblation into the fire and into other people's lives is what we shall accomplish today. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Either tonight or early tomorrow morning, I'll be back with a video on Srimati Vasanta Kumari Sampath's channel associated with Panguni Uttiram, how the entire Margari month, that Andal and her playmates, whatever sadhana they did, the effect of that sadhana is today. So this is as important in the life of Andal and all her devotees as was the Margari month. Many people sing Tirupavai only in the Margari month, mid-December to mid-January, but that is the efforts expended, the sadhana that we do, and the result of that sadhana, the fruit of that sadhana is tonight in the form of the Tirukalyanam of Andal, for which Vasnima is going to sing the first 5 stanzas, which are like the summary of the entire Tirupavai, which in turn is the very essence of all the Vedas put together, as I shall explain in far more detail in the description between the two videos, the iPad and the iPhone feeds of Vasnima singing, and you can enjoy that lovely sandwich as your special meal for Hola Ka today. We call it Hola Ka, not Holi. All the way, all the best. Panguni Uttiram wishes to you once again.